All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We're going to have a little special treat here for you. Normally, I don't do these things. It's been a while since I've done these, so hopefully I'm live up to what Nicole does and everybody else does when they're up here. But we're going to talk to Tommy for 1 second, and then he's a guitar man. All right, he's here to help Ryan, so it's going to be good.
He makes me sound good.
So he's going to be. We're going to go to the other side of the thing here, but I just wanted to introduce you to Tommy. He's a good dude. Good dude. He's playing this thing. Tommy
from the docks, right?
Tommy.
AV.
So, it's Ryan. So, we're going to talk a little bit about your life, okay?
Yes, sir.
So, by the way, RyanGriffin.com
Yep. Yes, sir.
is not working.
It's not?
No.
Got to get on management about that.
Will you guys check that out? I went on it today and it wasn't working. So, will you guys check it out? Make sure it's working. So, people that come through that are in your position, that are introducing themselves to radio, get to this chair and this place different ways. You've already been in the music business. So talk to folks about that. I know you've had some pretty interesting runs so far before you picked up the guitar and went solo. Talk a little bit about that.
It's been crazy, and I'll kind of get into that in my performance. I kind of walk you guys through my life story and how I got to this chair. But one of the things, is kind of crazy. When I went to college, I actually, I wanted to be a musician. So I was like, hey, I got to go to Nashville. And I had an internship program, and I ended up going and working for Broken Bow Records in their mailroom. And from that point, there was a guy named Jason Aldean that would walk in all the time, who was a new artist, and we became good friends. And he said, hey, Griff, I need some extra hands out on the road. So I went out on the road with him one weekend, and I ended up staying out there for 8 months. And just had a blast and learned everything from the top to the bottom, and ended up kind of taking the tour manager position. Everybody was broke at that time. None of us had money. And so we were all just kind of working on belief, and we all believed in him. And so I ended up going back to school after that, graduated college, and got a publishing deal and landed a #1 song on country radio as a songwriter with Kelsey Ballerini, and that song was called Dibs. And there's a crazy story. I'll tell you guys about that in a few minutes.
So walk it back a little bit.
Yep.
So do you have any road stories from Jason Aldean? Did you ever have to wake him up in a hotel room because he was late or go find him somewhere because he was supposed to be on stage?
Jason was always pretty good. His band guys, I had to kind of wrangle, go find them sometimes in the city after a show when the bus was rolling out and I was doing a bus count and I'm like, wait, we're missing somebody,
And where would they usually be?
Oh, at a bar somewhere.
Just usually a bar?
Just hanging out at a bar somewhere. The party never stopped.
Anybody miss the bus? Did you ever leave with anybody?
There was one person that I left. It's so funny that you asked that. I was telling AV this story the other day. John Loba, who is now the president of BMG Broken Bow Records, I left him at a gas station one time because I completely forgot that he wasn't in that position at the time, but I completely forgot that he was on the road with us. And so when I did the head count, I just did my normal head count, and then I get a call on the cell phone, and he didn't have his wallet, cell phone, anything, so he had to call from a payphone and call the label, and then the label had to call me, and we were 30 minutes down the road, and nobody noticed he was gone.
That's when you had to go back to college?
That's probably, yeah. That's why he doesn't talk to me anymore, I don't think. But
so you got out of college and you went back. Like, we all couldn't wait to get out. Like, you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I knew that I wanted to be behind the mic, not behind the scenes, and so had to go back, finish my degree, and I was so close, I had like one more year to go. And, I just needed to get that done, get that under my belt, and it was a real big thing for my parents. They were like, hey, if you're going to Nashville, go chase your dreams. We love you, but you got to go to college.
And you had other jobs, too, before you got in the music business. I know you worked on a farm. What kind of job did you do there?
Yeah, so my dad, we've always been farmers, land development and farmers. So we had a sod field growing up, which is, grass, St. Augustine down in Florida. So I worked down in the farm, on the fields, and after school, I'd go out there and shape the land with him and drive the tractors and throw grass and everything you can think of, baling hay, all the country boy stuff.
By the way, baling hay is the hardest job.
It is not easy.
That you can do. Does anybody ever have you baled hay? Did you wear chaps?
Do you do round bale or square bales? Yeah. Square bales suck because you have to throw them.
Chaps are really important. That's when they come in really handy, is when you're baling hay, right? Because you get all scratched and everything like that.
It'll mess you up.
Yeah, it does. So you start doing some stuff. You get this publishing deal, right? And now
Yes,
I
sir.
know you not only country, you do rock, R&B. So talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, so much of my upbringing was kind of a melting pot, like a mixture of music. My brothers were into rock. My parents were really big in the country. And I kind of started diving into R&B and, hip hop and stuff like that. And so all of these influences kind of meshed together, and that's where the music comes from today that I'm writing.
You started writing first?
I did. My brother actually started writing, but he couldn't sing, couldn't put any melodies to it. So he was really just writing like poetry. And so I'd take those songs and I'd add melodies to them, and then we'd sit down and we'd collaborate together. And then there was this little studio in Ocala where I was growing up at the time, and it was in this guy's garage. And I would go in there and put down the music and track it, and it was like the coolest thing ever to hear the songs that we created from nothing, and then putting my voice on them and putting the instruments on them, and then being able to put the CD in the car and listen to it. I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I got to do this the rest of my life.
Well, it's a great way to do it. And do you ever go back and listen to those things and go, boy, young Ryan had a lot to learn here?
I did a while back, and I was cringing the whole time. But it was kind of crazy because that little EP actually started my journey in Nashville and got me into Belmont, because there was a guy named Mark Wright who was a big producer at the time in Nashville, and he was also the vice president of MCA at the time. And a friend of a friend of a friend, just like everything else happens in life, ended up calling him, getting me a meeting, and my parents are amazing. Put all of us in the car, took us up to Nashville, had this meeting with Mark Wright, and he said, man, you're really green, but there's something really special about your voice. I'm going to write you he was on like the board at Belmont, and he goes, I'm going to write you a letter of recommendation. And that's how I got in, because Lord knows it wasn't my grades.
Well, Mark Wright's still a big deal.
He is, yeah.
Just a little side story with Kip Morris. So the other day I was visiting Kip on the bus, and Mark Wright was calling.
No way.
And I said to him, I go, do you need to get that? Like, that's like the boss calling. He goes, yeah, it's all right. I'll talk to you for a couple minutes.
Get him back.
But
yeah.
Mark is great, and
He's a
that's
legend,
really
for sure.
fantastic that you were able to convince him to get you in there. So you start getting some publishing deals, right?
Yes,
You're
sir.
really big on that party time karaoke. You got like five albums, 5 credits on there. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So some checks start coming in the mail. It's karaoke people that are singing your things out
Heck
there.
yeah.
So that's awesome.
Hey, however I can make it, bring it on.
So you're going to tell the Kelsey Ballerini story?
Yes, I definitely
Okay.
will.
So let's turn over to Ryan Griffin here. Enjoy. Have fun.
Thank
These
you.
people are all music fans. That's why they're here.
Amazing.
And they will tell you their opinion.
Please do.
Okay?
Hey, be
All right.
brutally honest.
Welcome. We're glad you're here on XTU.
Thank
okay?
you.
Have
I
a good time.
appreciate it.
Okay, good to see you guys. All right.
Thank you so much. Guys, again, thank you for showing up and taking time out of your crazy, hectic days. I really appreciate you being here. It all started for me down in South Florida. I always say I'm a Florida boy through and through. I have salt water in my veins, and I grew up down in Fort Lauderdale. We had a house in the Keys. We would go fishing every weekend. It was just like, I didn't realize at the time, but we were living the dream. I was too young. And, I always say that music started for me when I was sitting in the back of my mama's station wagon, crammed in between my 2 older brothers. Mom was always playing DJ, and she loved, country music. She loved Vince Gill. She loved singers. Vince Gill, Colin Ray, Brooks and Dunn, Ronnie Dunn's voice. I mean, come on. And George Strait was her number one. And I always say George Strait taught me how to write a song. Vince Gill taught me how to sing it. This is one of the first songs I ever learned. Oh, the lonely sound of my voice calling is driving me insane. Just like rain, the tears keep falling, and nobody answers when I call your name. Oh, nobody answered when I called your name. So middle school rolls around, and around that time you're really influenced by your peers and your friends, and so many of them were diving into like hip hop and R&B. And my brothers and I would collect our money at the end of the week, and we'd hop in my brother's truck and we'd go to Peaches, which was a local record store in Fort Lauderdale. And we'd start in the country section and kind of see what was new and what was fresh coming out that Friday. And then we'd go over to the rock section, and I'd kind of sneak off over into the R&B section. And I discovered Usher and Boyz II Men and Casey and JoJo and just all these amazing singers. And this one record that I ran across, I will never forget because it changed me musically. It was a Brian McKnight record called Anytime. And this song, I bought this record, and I sat on my trundle bed in my middle school bedroom with my little boom box that had like 3 discs in it. And I wore this record out, learning every lick, trying to sing like Brian, because I'd never heard anybody sing like him before. And this song got me through my first heartbreak. It's called Anytime. So do I ever cross your mind anytime? Yeah. Do you ever wake up reaching out for me? Do I ever cross your mind anytime, anytime? Oh, I miss you. Oh, yeah. I said, baby, I miss you. I said, baby, I miss you. So high school rolled around, and it was like my folks said, hey, guess what? Graduated middle school, I'm about to go into my freshman year of high school, and they're like, we're moving to Ocala, Florida. And I was like, what? What's Ocala, Florida? I've never heard of that. And so if you know anything about Florida, anytime you get above Orlando, it basically turns into rural Georgia. And so it's like you could just cut the state in half right there and just call it something different. But it was not the Florida I was used to. So I kind of went up to Ocala kicking and screaming. Ended up being one of the biggest blessings of my life musically, because I got to go up there, and there were so many, it was a very country, rural, it's like second horse capital, if you will, other than Lexington. And so there were just a ton of opportunities for me to go play live shows on the back of like hay trailers and stuff like that, on 4-H clubs and all these like strawberry festivals, all this kind of fun stuff. So I kind of got to cut my teeth in the live performance aspect that way and learn how to work a crowd at a really young age. And so I'm super thankful for moving to Ocala. That's where my family still lives. And I'll never forget this moment when I was driving down. We had a 20-acre farm with horses and cows and a quarter-mile driveway to the main road. And I was running late for high school one day, and I was driving down this quarter-mile road, and a song came on the radio, and it just floored me, because so much of my life I tried to figure out, like, where did I fit in country music? Because I loved this R&B, and I loved, traditional country music. I just didn't know where I fit. And when this song came on the radio, I literally put the car in park, turned the radio up, sat there and closed my eyes with a big old smile on my face, and I was like, this is it. And it was this song by Keith Urban. I woke up early this morning around 4 a.m. with the moon shining bright as headlights on the interstate. I pulled the covers over my head and tried to catch some sleep, but the thoughts of us kept keeping me awake. See, ever since you found yourself in someone else's arms, I've been trying my best to get along, but that's okay, there's nothing left to say. So you take your records, take your freedom, take your memories, I don't need them. Take your space and take your reasons, but you'll think of me, yeah. And take your cat and leave my sweater, 'cause we got nothing left to weather. In fact, I feel a whole lot better. You'll think of me, you'll think of me, yeah. Oh, oh baby, you think of me. Thank you. Whoa. So let's go this way. That's a skill right there.
I didn't know you were that flexible.
I didn't either. Very bendy. But, you know, as I was kind of telling you guys before, I knew I needed to get to Nashville. And so I called mom and dad, and I said, yo, I'm going to Nashville. And they said, cool, what college are you going to? And I was like, oh, man, I didn't think about that. And so I ended up getting into Belmont University, and, you know, my sophomore year, junior year of college, I ended up going out on the road with Jason Aldean, like I was telling you guys. And I knew, you know, that I wanted to be an artist. And I knew that as cool as it was being the tour manager for Jason and learning the ropes on the road, you know, getting those street smarts, things you can't learn in textbooks, I knew that I needed to go back to college, finish my degree, and then really go out there and give it a shot. You know, get a publishing deal, try to get a record deal, be an artist. And so my last party that I went to at Belmont, senior year, we're wrapping it up. I walked into this apartment party. I still remember it was 37D. It was a Thursday. And I walk in, and to the left, there's this beautiful girl sitting on the couch. She has a little ball cap on, sipping out of a Solo cup. And the first thing I heard when I walked in was her laughing. And I was like, I got to build up the courage to go over there and talk to this girl. So I did. Had a little help, you know, a little liquid courage. I walked over there, sat down next to her. And then I was like, hey, girl, you know, and putting my swag on. And I don't have game. There is no game here. I still don't know how I got her.
Budweiser has game.
There you go, but heavy. Anyways, I sit down and I talk to her, and we end up hitting it off, exchanging numbers, end up hanging out for a couple months, you know, every day we're talking, going out, doing that kind of thing. And I'm like, we're about to label this thing. She's about to be my girlfriend. She calls me up one night, and she's like, Ryan, I have to talk to somebody about this. This guy that I've been, you know, trying to date and trying to see, this soccer player, he just, like, won't give me the time of day. He only calls me at night, and we all know what that means, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, just crushed. Like, no, this isn't happening. And so, anyways, long story short, I end up pulling out the only card I had left to play, which was introduce her to my family, take her down to the Keys, woo her, all that kind of stuff. And I ended up winning her over. We've been married 10 years and have 2 kids together. But I was sitting there in the writer's room a little while back, and I was thinking about, you know, all of these experiences that we go through in life. We all go through the same stuff, just in different ways. And so I wanted to write a song from my perspective and how crushing that was, and just, you know, getting that phone call. And so this is a song called Love Don't. I bet you're wiping off your lipstick, slipping out your heels, unzipping your dress. I can hear the TV on in the background, and that bottle of red in your voice. When you say you're falling off the deep end, he's everything you've ever needed. But you call me up when he let you down, and damn, we've been talking a lot. 'Cause love don't leave you all alone, waiting by the phone, hoping that he's gonna light up on a Friday. Love don't text you from the back of a last call cab saying you up, I'm in your driveway, call it a late night fling. Maybe too many drinks, lonely doing what it does, yeah. You can call it whatever you want, but if you think about calling it love, don't. You talking about him like he's a one, Your mama thinks he's an answer to a prayer. You make it look like he got what everybody wants, but you only tell him what you want him to hear. 'Cause love don't leave you all alone, waiting by the phone, hoping that he's gonna light up on a Friday. Love don't text you from the back of a last call cab saying you up, I'm in your driveway. You call it a late night fling, maybe too many drinks, lonely doing what it does, yeah. You can call it whatever you want, but if you're thinking about calling it love, don't, no. Oh, baby, don't. Oh, baby, you should know by now. You should know by now, yeah. Oh, baby, you should know by now. If you don't know by now, love don't leave you all alone, waiting by the phone, hoping that it's gonna light up on a Friday. Love don't text you from the back of a last call cab saying you up, I'm in your driveway. You call it a late night fling, maybe too many drinks, lonely doing what it does, yeah. You can call it whatever you want, but if you're thinking about calling it love, don't. Oh, baby, don't. Thank you. So there's a ton of stories in between here. I'll tell you guys the one that we were talking about before with Kelsey Ballerini. So I met Kelsey when we were at a publishing company. She was really young. She was like 18, just came to town. And we kind of hit it off in the writer's room because we had very similar upbringings musically. And, you know, we had written dozens of songs together, and there was this one day where her and I and a friend wrote, and we knew that we got kind of a B-plus song. You know, it wasn't anything special. So we went back to the kitchen in the publishing house, and we were all hanging out, and two of our other friends came up, and they just got done writing like a B-plus song. And we were all just kind of sulking and like, hey, what do you want to do? And we were all 21 except Kelsey. And so we were like, hey, let's go over to Red Door or something and grab a drink. And Kelsey's like, well, I guess I'll see you guys later. And we're like, we can't do that. Man, we forgot you weren't 21. So she goes, well, what if we just go write another song, all of us? We're like, okay, why not? So we went over to the only room that was available. The place was under construction, and there was this one room that was finished. It looked very similar to this, just a lot smaller, and there was no furniture in it. And we all sit down Indian style, grab our guitars, and in 45 minutes, we ended up writing Dibs. It just fell out. Kels was like, hey, I got this idea. It's called Dibs. And then literally the lyrics just started pouring out. The melody started pouring out. In 45 minutes, it was done. And I remember her and I, the other two co-writers on it, were like, we got to get rid of the haze, which is like, hey, you know, kind of thing. And I always think, hey, must be the money. But that's kind of where that came from. But anyways, Kelsey and I fought really hard for it as the two artists in the room, and we were like, no, we really need that sing-along part. Well, it ended up being a #1 song on country radio, and that ended up being part of the special sauce, which is really cool. Well, the really impactful story about that song, that's the fun story. The song, that song changed my life in so many ways because I wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't for that song. My wife and I, unbeknownst to Kelsey and the rest of the crew, we're sitting at our little table, our little nook table. My wife was practically in tears. I had a stack of bills over here that had to be paid immediately and a stack of bills over here that we could probably push another month. And we're both just stressed out beyond belief, trying to figure out how we're going to make it. 2 days later, Kelsey calls me, and she goes, hey, Ryan, I just want to let you know, Dibs, remember that song? I said, yeah. She goes, it's going to be my second single to country radio. Ended up going to #1, ended up helping financially, get us to this point. If that song hadn't hit, we would have scraped by somehow, because we hustle, you know? It's like we would have scraped by somehow, but it made it a lot easier and kind of gave us a little God wink, like you're on the right path. So there's a ton of those stories. I am like the walking Nashville cliche. And I've had record deals. They've fallen through for one reason or another. My most recent one was with Warner Brothers. Was supposed to be the focused artist of 2021 for Warner. Pandemic hits, and 2021 February, they end up dropping me, and they dropped 5 of us. And I got the call, and they said, "I'm so sorry, man. We failed you as a label, but it's last in, first out." So this was my second deal, and I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore. I was just kind of sulking for about a week, and my wife came up to me, and she said, "Why don't you," and just to tell you how incredible my family is, my mom and dad drove up as soon as they found out, for no other reason, just to be there, just to support us. And so we're all sitting there, and my wife goes, "Why don't you take all this music that you've been writing for 10 years and just start putting it up on social media?" She's like, "You have nothing to lose." That was a little hard to hear. I was like, "Yeah, you're right. I have nothing to lose." Thanks, babe. And so I end up throwing up these songs for, a week or so. Every day I'm throwing up a new song. And this is 2 weeks after I get dropped from Warner. My wife comes running in the bedroom, and she's like, Ryan, get up. Look at your phone." And I look at my phone, and it's just like rolling, like a Rolodex. It's crazy. And I open TikTok, and Salt, Lime, and Tequila that I put up the night before had 1 million views, then 2 million views, then 6 million views, then 7 million views. And it was just a song that was raising its hand. And the coolest part was I got to read all the comments of how this song was affecting people and why they were connecting to it. People were saying, "This song, every time I have a bad day or I'm depressed or I'm anxious, I put this song on and it completely pulls me out of it. Every time I go into work and I hate my job and I don't want to go in, I listen to this song and it puts a smile on my face and I can walk in to work." Going home, same thing, putting on dad cap, walking in with kids, and I listen to this song and it just mellows me out. And I was like, man, this is the power of music, and this is what I love about writing songs and being an artist. And I love that this song connected in that way with people, and that it truly did help people get through a very, very hard time that we've all been through. And I'm really proud to say that it's my first single to country radio. I hope that one day somebody can say I'm an overnight success, And this is Salt, Lime, and Tequila, guys. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to my story. I just played this song at the Opry the other day. I made my Opry debut a couple months back, and then I got to thank you. And I told them, I said, "If you all know it, sing it." And they blew the roof off the place. It was unbelievable. Because of that, I've got to go back 2 more times, and it's been an incredible ride. But again, thank you guys for being here. And if you know it, sing along. It's called Salt, Lime, and Tequila. Boys lost that game on Sunday, gotta work a double on Monday. I wish that stack of bills would go on and pay themselves. When that glass looks half empty, I fill it up, don't let it get me down. If I know one thing, you gotta take it all with a grain of salt. Yeah, lime and tequila, it all gets to fading with one. Yeah, 2, maybe 3 margaritas. Throw 'em back and watch 'em wash all your worries away. At the end of the day, all you gotta do is take life with a grain of salt. Yeah, lime and tequila. Now, ain't much worth stressing over. Let it roll right off your shoulder. Time flies and life is short, so why not have one more with a dash on the rim? Pour it strong, mix it in. When it don't go your way, take it all with a grain of salt. Yeah, lime and tequila, it all gets to fading with one. Yeah, 2, maybe 3 margaritas. Throw 'em back and watch 'em wash all your worries away. At the end of the day, all you gotta do is take life with a grain of salt. Yeah, lime and tequila. Just a dash on the rim, pour it strong, mix it in. Yeah, you know what they say, take it all with a grain of salt. Yeah, lime and tequila. It all gets to fading with one, two, maybe 3 margaritas. Throw 'em back and watch 'em wash all your worries away. At the end of the day, all you gotta do is take life with a grain of salt. Yeah, lime and tequila. I said salt, lime and tequila. Yeah. Tequila! Y'all, I've drank a lot of tequila since, too, I'll tell you that. Thank you guys so much. Give it up for Tommy.